tax sale ever. And Mr. Biggs, Trustee Biggs, is going to tell us about it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for your time. Thanks for having us. So, one of the things that, well, I could say this, I'd probably say a lot of us in this room have spoken to many different clubs and done things basically repetitively for multiple times. I know, Phil, you probably have, and Larry, you probably have, Mr. Schaus, Jackie, I know we all have. So, tonight I decided to do something a little bit different. I don't really want everybody to always see my face because we have such a great team at the trustee's office. So I brought my team with me. The people that like you would see if you were to come into the trustee's office, the people that you would see if you were to maybe come into the downtown office, or if you had an issue with investments or bonds or something with delinquencies or tax relief, tax freeze, it's people that you would actually be talking to, right? And so the trustee's office is a special office to me. I've been in that office for nearly 17 years. I spent 8 years in Mr. Schaus's administration, learned a lot. We went on to be the Knox County trustee. We've been in there for a little over 150 days now. So I want to introduce my team. If everybody wants to come up, and I'll introduce everybody when they get up here. So this is Robin Benton. She's the deputy trustee. Robin used to be the tax sale coordinator for the Knox County trustee's office. She's been in the trustee's office for quite some time. Does just an amazing job. I'm so happy to have her. She really, I mean, whenever you talk about a shining team member, it's Robin. And then this is Jason Dobbins. He's the delinquent operations. He does everything. He's the head guy for all of our delinquencies, and he is probably one of the best additions. I feel like I stole Jason. He was a great guy out in the private sector. But he's a lot bigger than me, so I'm not gonna say I've been his arm. This is Phil. Phil's been with us for quite some time. He does all of our tax relief, tax freeze, and disabled veterans. This is Tanner. He is what Robin used to be. He does all of our new stuff, and he is planning tax sale 24, which is gonna be one of our largest tax sales. And this is Pearl. A lot of people know Pearl. Pearl Mathis, she does our investments. She's over the pilots, the TIFs. She does a lot of things. So instead of hearing from me, I'm going to let you guys hear from them, and then I'll field questions at the very end and come in at the very end. So I'll turn it over to Ms. Robin Benton.
Hello, I'm Robin Benton. Thank you all for coming tonight. I've worked in the trustee's office for 38 years. I've seen many trustees come and go, been through lots of tax sales, been through every position pretty much in the trustee's office. But the one thing that sticks out in my mind is tax sale 23. It was the biggest grossing tax sale we've ever had. We pulled in over $5.5 million. We're gonna have a rebid sale on all those properties, and it's posted on our website. So all you have to do is go to the clerk of master's office, and you have until the 20th of January to do so. Anything can be raised by 10%, throws it into another tax sale on January 25th. And if you have any questions, please feel free to, contact me. So our door's always open and hoping to get all these properties back on the tax roll to earn extra money for Knox County. So thank you all for listening to me tonight, and I'm going to turn it over to Jason, or Phil.
Let's switch.
We're out of order.
My name is Phil Williams. I have worked with the trustee's office for 11 years. Clearly I was hired when I was 13.
Me too. Yeah.
The state of Tennessee has 2 programs to help and assist elderly, disabled veterans, and widows or widowers of disabled veterans. These programs are administered through the trustee's office, so we're the ones who process the paperwork, send it to the state if necessary, or address how the freeze works as well. We'll start with the ways that you can get on the program for relief. We'll start with being a disabled veteran or the widow or widower of a disabled veteran. If you are considered permanent and total by the Veterans Administration, we're looking to sign you up. Even if you're not sure, come on in, we'll sign you up. The worst thing they can do is say no, and it's submitted to the state. They work with the state to determine eligibility. For disabled people, that is disabled but not 65 or older, you can come in They do it to look at your income. There's an income component for elderly and disabled. And for elderly, if you turn 65 during the tax year, you can come in and we'll look at your income, see if you qualify, and the state will make the determination of whether or not you're on the program. Freeze is a little bit different. Tax freeze freezes your taxes, as you probably could figure out. But that's actually not entirely accurate. It more like puts a cap on it. So if your taxes happen to go down, they'll continue to go down, but they can't go up. Tax freeze has a slightly higher income limit, and I've got some information that gives you all those details instead of trying to tell you stuff no one's going to remember anyway. So it's a pretty, these are pretty good programs. They're designed specifically to keep low-income, disabled, and veterans in their homes. We've got currently 5,900 people, roughly, give or take, on both programs. Justin's goal is to have it up to 8,000 by 2026, and then another 10,000 by 2030. This is where we need your all's help. You all should, if you know anybody whom you think qualifies, even if you're not certain, just give them our information, tell them to contact our office. I've got some business cards you can hand out, and some flyers. We'll be more than happy to take their phone call, tell them exactly what's necessary, and do our best to get them on the program. Thank you.
Phil, do you have some information with you?
Yes.
Okay.
Jason?
Me?
Yeah, go right.
Hey guys, again, thanks for having us here tonight. We're super excited to be able to talk to anybody. I have been in the public sector for about 4 months. Private sector for about 30 years. So this is a first for me. I'm learning every day. I love it. Getting used to the hustle and bustle of it. It's a little bit slower than what I'm used to, but that's enjoyable too. Sometimes it's nice to slow down for a second and realize your surroundings. So anyway, forgive me, I have a cheat sheet tonight. Again, this is a first. First thing on my cheat sheet is my name is Jason Dobbins. So very nice to meet you guys. I want to let you know I'm the Director of Collections for the Knox County Trustee's Office. I have a question for you. Does anybody have a clue how many delinquent properties are in Knox County? Just a rough estimate.
Mine's not.
Okay, so we have one that is not. Close. There's over 8,000 delinquent properties right now. The goal of our department is to collect as much tax revenue as we can on those delinquent properties, okay? So short of cracking skulls and kicking kneecaps, we go after as much money as we can, okay? So we will do anything and everything we can to collect this revenue from these people. To be considered delinquent in Knox County, a property owner must be delinquent for 2 years. After 3 years, we consider them for a tax sale. The goal of the tax sale, again, is to collect as much revenue as possible and to get these properties back on the tax roll. If they're on the tax roll, we're collecting revenue, we're helping Knox County, and it affords us to be able to do things in this county to help. We're a huge help for this county in that sense, I think. Like Robin said, we collected over $5 million this last sale. That's money that would not have been generated otherwise. Speaking of which, as Robin mentioned earlier, tax sale 23 was super successful. We're not done. I'm here to tell you that tax sale 24 is going to kill it. Right now, we're sitting at over 1,000 properties ready for this sale. That number will dwindle down some as people pay out. But we are going to absolutely destroy it. Hopefully we have the capacity this year to do it.
Yeah.
We'll find out when it comes.
We'll find out.
So one thing that I do want to mention is with this past tax sale, we did have properties that went to Knox County. If those do not get rebid on, they will go into a surplus sale, okay? With the surplus sale, they will be heavily discounted. We're shooting for an April date and a July date, and then again, early next year. And that just depends on how delinquent they are. There's certain time periods we have to wait for that.
Could you go through that again, please?
Yes, sir.
What properties?
everything that went to Knox County that was not bid on in this prior tax sale
Okay.
is going to be in our surplus sale, and there's a bunch of properties.
So just real quick, to elaborate on what Jason's saying, so the state passed a statute that says if you're 2 to 5 years delinquent, you have to have a 365-day redemption period. If you're 5 to 8 years delinquent, it's 180 days. If you're 8 years delinquent or further, it's 90 days. So this is the first year that we have basically taken that into consideration. So we're gonna have 3 surplus sales now. The first one will be in May, and that's your 90-day delinquent window, right? So that means 8 years or more delinquent. And then we're gonna have another one in July, which that's that 5 to 8 year delinquent window, which is 180 days. And then the next surplus sale, it'll be in January, which is what Jason was talking about.
Yeah.
So,
If anybody's interested in property in Knox County, I encourage them to prepare for that. Come out, call the office. I got plenty of business cards. We'll hand them out after we're finished. We'd love to see all you guys out there. I mean, this past sale, we were at maximum capacity in the large assembly room. So much so the fire department showed up and
Yeah.
was trying to shut us down. Luckily, we were able to maneuver around that a little bit.
They literally said, they walked in and they said, hey, you're over 500 people in the main assembly room. And I was like, this is great. And they're like, well, 475 is the number. And I was like, oh, this isn't great. I mean, but, so luckily they worked with us. And as we did our sale, people, once they got their properties, they were leaving, so it made room. So we actually had room, but PBA has actually called us today, and they are expecting a much larger crowd for tax sale 24. So I've asked them where we could be located, and our next sale may be at the Civic Coliseum.
We also have lists available, we'll leave them out, everything that's sold in tax sale 23, if you're interested in rebidding, the results are there, and they're also on our website, so.
So, can I, you don't mind asking a question?
Go for it.
Okay, so, my understanding is that if I bid on a tax delinquent property, the owner has basically a year.
Not necessarily, depends on how delinquent they are.
Okay, so, but I was told that the time would be like a year before I could do anything with the property.
That was true 2 years ago, not anymore.
Statute changed.
The statute changed, so if the property is 8 years or more delinquent, you got 90 days.
Okay, so what Robin's talking about is that properties that didn't bring very much, you're going to offer them again?
No.
10%. What is that?
So we have a list available for everything that's sold on the 5th, and any of those properties, it's just a rebid process that the county has to go through, just to increase the revenue if possible. So any of those parcels that were bid on through the sale, you can raise them until the 20th by 10%. That just throws those properties into a rebid sale on the 25th. So it starts all over again at the new raised bid price, and anybody can come and bid on them at that point.
And where do they go to rebid?
Clerk and master's
Clerk and
office.
master's office. You have until 3:30 on the 20th to raise those.
So go online, look at properties, if there's something that I want to raise 10% or more, I go to the clerk and master's office, I say, I want to give
10%.
$12 more for this, and
Yeah.
And so, just look at it this way, even though we had the tax sale last Thursday, the tax sale's not formally over until we have a rebid sale, by state guidelines. Once we have the rebid sale, that's when your clock starts ticking, Chancellor Haggerty signs off, that's when the redemption period starts. Literally the moment he signs off on it.
When somebody rebids 10% over, right?
Yes, sir.
Do you notify the original bidder?
Yes, sir. The
Okay.
first, we call him the first high bidder. Yes, sir, we do.
So that can change hands 2 or 3 times.
So we entered our sale on the 5th, which was last Thursday, and we have a first high bidder, and we have their information. They go to the clerk and master's office, let's just say Ginger was the first high bidder, and I wanted to up it by 10%. I go and I tell the clerk and master, I do my due diligence, they contact Ginger and they say, hey, just wanted to let you know that the property that you bid on for the tax sale has been raised by 10%, and they will be it will be put back up for auction on the 25th in the main assembly room. That means Ginger shows up, I show up, and the bid starts all over again.
And anybody can show up.
Anyone can show up.
Yeah, so if you waited the last 10 days, before you taking the bid on that property, they may not have a chance to raise their price again.
Right. So
They possibly could, but may not.
what a lot of I would say our seasoned professionals would do, and developers and things of that nature will do. They will wait till the cutoff day, and they'll come in there at noon, and they'll okay, I want parcel 5, 26, 107, and they'll up it by 10%, just because I would think that my money is secure, and I get the phone call, hey, you've been bid up, and a lot of people that were the first time bidder previously, they don't even show up. And so, they're notified properly, but it's kind of if you've played the property game for quite some time, you kind of learn how to, do specific things. So I would encourage everybody to come on the 25th and see. There'll be a lot of properties that are rebid, and you'll have an opportunity to, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, to add on to that a little bit, so once you get that, they have 90 or different times to come back and pay that off.
So
You can't do anything really with that property until it's finalized.
So, yes, sir, yeah, and so we encourage everybody to do their due diligence, right? So what Mr. Shasky will tell you is after 11 years, it rolls off the tax roll, and that's usually your most delinquent year. We're trying to prevent that. So we're looking at that 8-year and further delinquency, so we can make sure that we take full, we do everything we can to get them in there and get them paid. We don't want the taxes rolling off at the end of the year and you start losing all the interest and penalty that comes on there. You want those taxes to get paid. So those that don't get paid, and Knox County buys, we have this 90-day, 180-day, 365-day window, and we go to what's called a surplus sale. That sale usually starts out at $100 a parcel, no matter if it's 3 acres or a creek bed. It always starts at a flat fee, and then the bid starts from there, and it goes up to what it is. Our last surplus sale under Mr. Schaus was $1.3 million. Yes, ma'am.
On this paper that we're looking at,
Uh-huh.
how do you know if it's the 90-day, the 365-day, or does it tell it right here?
That one
That's
will
a
have it
due
on there.
diligence
That's the,
part,
yeah.
that,
Yeah.
we have everybody to do their own research on that. That's pretty much out of our hands at that point. It's all through the courts, and we always say you probably should notify an attorney.
Yeah.
And
Director
get some
Booth.
legal advice on it.
Director Booth, like you guys, I would tell you, but Director Booth has really instructed us, the legal aspect and legal advice of stuff on specific parcels. We need to let people do their own due diligence, so we've really concentrated on that this tax sale. We've looked at some of the issues, like EPA issues and stuff like that. We've kind of steered clear of those. So a lot of these, if they have liens on them, they're free and clear after the sale. So a lot of people are interested in that, but it's a great opportunity. I encourage anybody just to come. Yes, sir.
I don't know if this is a fair question, if you can answer. What percentage of the sales and stuff that you sold was vacant land, a home, and commercial? Well, how'd that break down?
So, we have a significant amount of residential homes that are held within the city of Knoxville. Unfortunately, those were blighted properties, and there are dirty lot fees, and then they were actually taken down. And so, in the city of Knoxville, we have some, back in the day, you used to call them shotgun houses, there were some shotgun houses and stuff like that, but there's quite a bit of vacant land in the city of Knoxville. Now, you get out into Knox County, and there's great parcels out in Knox County, and a lot of those are homes. Now, if we're talking commercial property, I would say anywhere from 10 to 12% of it's commercial property in tax sale 23. Going into tax sale 24, we're putting an emphasis on some of the businesses that we know are doing very well, that could pay their property taxes, but they're just kind of trying to skirt by. And so we put some of them there. We're probably looking at the 20 to 24% commercial property coming up in the tax sale 24. And we probably have, I would say somewhere around, Tanner could probably explain this better, I would say 60% of the properties that are residential in tax sale 24 are homes. So we have a very small amount of just raw land in tax sale 24 coming up. We've really tried to hammer home on a lot of these properties that are, they have what we call structured units is what we call them, with something on them. So, that's a good question. Yes, sir.
The over 5 million,
Yes,
you
sir.
guys mentioned that you guys received as revenue. Are you including the people who were not paying but then pay once
No.
you start pursuing
No.
them? So really, you guys are bringing in a lot more.
We're probably, if we were to do that, we'd probably be closer to about, 18 to 20 million.
Wow.
Yeah. No, we don't, we only include data sale. So just what Mr. Wilder's talking about is we start a tax sale, sorry, I didn't mean to just, but anyway, so we start a tax sale with, let's say, 450 properties, right? So every year, you're delinquent. On the second year of delinquency, you get what's called a holding bill. That's the tax roll that comes from the property assessor's office. Whenever we get that in, we plug it into our computer system, and it filters through what all delinquencies are. We send that off to the comptroller's office. The comptroller takes that file and sends it back to us, and then we send out a bill at the very beginning of March, and we say, okay, you're 2 years delinquent. You get hit with a 20% penalty. And then you start accruing penalty and interest at 1.5% every month. So that's 18% in a year, right? That's, to me, I don't know of anybody that can afford to do that for too long. So that first year, 20% from the holding bill, 18% for the entire year, so you're at 38%, right? So the next following years, it's 1.5% a month. So you can see how, if you're delinquent, how fast that can accrue, right? So what Eric's saying is let's say we start off with the 450 parcels that we did. When we send out the holding bills, we start sending out handwritten letters. Jason and his team go out and they do site visits, or we put up signs in their yard, this property to be sold in tax sale 23. When we put those up, people call in and they pay, whether it be by credit card, or they go and they bring in cash or a cashier's check.
They take the sign down.
And they take the sign down.
They usually take the sign down so we can put it out.
Yeah, very quickly. And then when they do that, we draw down on the number of parcels you have in a tax sale. So whenever we start a tax sale, Director Booth and us, we have a specific docket number, and it only includes ones that we sue through a specific year. This past year was 2019. So whenever we do have the tax sale, we have this small number. We can't get a new docket number through the middle of the sale. We've never been able to do that. And then when you pay, that number shrinks and shrinks and shrinks, and then we ended up with 185 homes. So the other homes that we sold of that 450 is not in the 5.5 million. So we're just talking about what we made from the tax sale. So if you included all the other homes, we're probably somewhere between 18 and $20 million is what this tax sale did. Tax sale 24, which Jason is talking about, will be one of the most lucrative tax sales we've ever had in Knox County history, if not the, because we just had the most. So this next one will be even bigger. I hope that explains it.
What happens if your house has a mortgage on it?
Your house has a mortgage, it gets paid in December. We have a company called CoreLogic in December. This year was December the 12th, and the payment for all the mortgages in Knoxville, Tennessee was $76 million.
So I guess the mortgage company would come in and pay the taxes on it, you would have to do your mortgage.
Oh, you're talking about if you fall delinquent. Well, if your mortgage company's paying your taxes, you would never go delinquent.
Yeah, we notify everybody.
Yeah, we notify all
that has any
the
liens on the property way before, usually a year before we get to the actual tax sale date.
Yeah.
So they have plenty of time to come in and protect that lien by paying the taxes, leaves their liens as is. But if it goes past the sale, then those are gone.
I hope that makes sense. Yes, sir.
I've heard this years ago, I don't know if it's true or not. Are your employees exempt from buying any parcels?
They can't get those parcels, especially me.
I gotta get you in the clear.
It does, yeah. No. I'll be honest with you, there's some great parcels that I wish we could, but what we do is we do talk with EPW, and our Parks and Rec department, if there's anything within Knox County and we're getting ready to go in, like if you would look at the Shod Road extension, down here at, Callahan Road, and it goes all the way to Level Road. We talk to them, we say, hey, we're going through here, there's delinquent properties that's gonna be put in there, you know, we just wanna make you aware of the direction we're going. So that way it saves money for Knox County to not have to go out and do acquisitions and somebody run that number higher. So, I'm sorry, Jason, go ahead.
Good night. No, the only thing, last thing I had to say was, if y'all are aware of any properties that, could potentially be put in sale, you can call us. We'll do our due diligence to check and see if they're delinquent or anything else outstanding, and we can put them in the sale. We have requests all the time, so.
Yes, ma'am.
So the 8,000 that you talked about, what percent is that?
There's 222,000 parcels in Knox County.
Okay, so not a big percent, okay,
Not a big percent, but a lot of money.
yeah.
Justin, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I heard you all talk about the properties in the city, so did the city, do they contribute any to this sale? Like with the
can't do that.
reappraisal, we kinda do a cost sharing where the city has to
So,
pay a little bit?
2 months ago, I kinda let the cat out of the bag, at county commission, we were speaking at county commission. The city of Knoxville does not contribute anything to us. Knox County covers the costs. Title search, service of process, advertising, everything. It costs us a significant amount to put on tax. And now we do get our money back, we do get a return on our investment whenever we do this, but, I mean, I guess I could say here, Director Booth, myself, and Mayor Jacobs are looking at an opportunity to be compensated from the city of Knoxville for the monies that we placed into the tax sale on all their properties. This past tax sale, they did I think they got about a $1.8 million check in tax sale 23 just last week for all of our efforts. You know, when it comes to that and you start looking in that direction, the city's great, but they haven't had a tax sale since 2016. Prior to that, it was 2011. We've had a tax sale almost every single year. Only time we haven't had a tax sale was whenever COVID happened, because we couldn't get the United States Postal Service to go out and do our certified mail. The moment they started doing certified mail, Mr. Schaus got us right back on it just like that, and that's why we produce a tax sale so quickly. And so, unfortunately, no, we're not compensating anything from the city of Knoxville. Yes, sir.
Two things. One, the city tax rate is now 39% higher than the county tax rate.
Yes, sir.
So their taxes are higher, but their services are less.
Yeah.
Second thing, talking about economic benefit to our community, and I've had this conversation with Robin and you. These blighted homes, when they get back in economic productivity, it's such an incalculable benefit.
It is.
So it's a great service that you guys do, besides just collecting back taxes and revenue.
When we're looking for tax sale properties, there's a guy, and I'm sure he's fine because it's public record. His name's Robert Marlowe. Do you guys know where Mechanicsville is? Down like the western. So he literally went in and started buying up blighted properties that was delinquent. And he single-handedly has rebuilt that specific area, and he lives down there now. And I drove through there, going over to meet Nathaniel Shelso, and whenever I went through there, I was like, man, this is a lot nicer than it was 5-6 years ago. And it's solely because you have somebody that came in and started cleaning up blighted properties, and it's almost like that 4th and Gill area, it just sparked, and now it's beautiful. And so, that wouldn't have happened if you wouldn't have had somebody take it upon themselves to start attending our tax sales, 7-8 years ago, and start buying properties, and now he owns a lot of property in that specific area. And you can tell, I can go down there and I can tell which one he owns and which one he doesn't own. I mean, you can tell. And so the same thing's happening over in specific areas that are inner city, where people will go in of a house that's been torn down, or it's been on fire or something like that, or it was a drug home, and they'll tear it down and you'll see a nice little fence and a little park. I mean, it's amazing to see what we're doing now with these blighted properties, and I'm super excited about the direction it's going, so. All right, Jason?
We're good.
Okay, so next, I want to introduce somebody that is an absolute rock star in the trustee's office. I lean on her a lot, and we have a lot of conversations, and she's usually still at work about this time, but Ms. Pearl Mathis is the CFO for the Knox County Trustee's office, and she will shed light on so much. She is like, I would say Mr. Schaus could tell you, she's the numbers guru for the Knox County Trustee's office. Ms. Pearl?
Good evening. Thank you all for having us here tonight. As Justin said, I am the leader of the financial team of the trustee's office. And once the sale, and as Jason said, the money they bought in, then it comes back to our department, and we allocate those funds as to where they go. They don't just stay, in just one coffer. They're divided among the county government, the schools, and debt services and highway. So once the funds are sent back to us, then we allocate them to the department that they go to. And each one are based on a percentage set by county commission as to what percentage they would get. Now that money, once we take in the taxes, we, as the trustee's office, we get a commission on the collections. And the commission goes into our fee and operating account for the operation of the trustee's office. But that money we don't keep. We are governed by the state of Tennessee for the amount that we can keep in there. So we are only allowed to keep in our fee and operating account a total of 3 months' salary and benefits. So what extra we get in, like in the tax sale that we've had at $5 million, the money that we get commission on, that will go into our fee and operating account, but then we turn it back over to the Knox County government, which is put into the general operating account to continue to operate the county and go back into the roads and the different departments of the county government. And then any monies that we have, once the county has allocated what needs to pay our debt off, we purchase bonds for the debt service of the county. Once we pay those bond issues and pay whatever debts we have to what financial agencies we have, the extra money, which is called idle funds, are invested. And those are regulated by the state of Tennessee and the county commission as to what type of investments we can put those in. So we work through Raymond James and do investments of the idle funds. The interest earned on those funds go back also into the county government to further the operation of the county government. So that turnaround, this money they're bringing in, it don't just sit idle, it works. So the more that they bring in, the more it works for the county, and that helps to keep the tax rate down. If we don't have to have a tax rate increase because we made a surplus of funds, you know, the money that will not increase the taxes, so it goes back into the operation of the county also. So that's a positive part of that. And Knox County Trustee's Office basically takes care of the operations of most of the fee offices in the county. And we have fee offices, which are the Register of Deeds, the county clerk's office, sheriff's office, and trustee's office. Maybe another one I'm forgetting. But the monies we turn over actually takes care of most of their employees and their salary, because the taxes generate more revenue than any department. So this, you know, positive thing for us to have the sale, and it goes back to work. Because once we have the tax sale, they go back on the tax roll, and taxes are applied to them once again. So they become working properties again, not just for people to buy, become working properties again for the county government. So it puts more money into the county coffers to keep our roads done. And we have a lot of problems with them, but the roads and the schools, and we purchase bonds to actually build new schools. So we just had a new school open up. So with the bond issue and the money that we have, you know, that dollars work, you know, for the county. So that's what your tax dollars are doing. They're not just sitting doing nothing. But like I say, once the money comes back into the financial department, they're receipted and allocated. But that's not only part of revenue that we receive in. Knox County Trustee's Office is actually the treasurer for the Knox County government. So we have over 30 bank accounts that we monitor for the funds that come into Knox County. So all the monies for county government are filtered through the trustee's office. We actually receipt and record that money, send it up to the finance department for them to actually post the revenue. So, but we balance the bank accounts and make sure every dollar that comes in is accounted for, and reconcile the fund accounts, most of the fund accounts. And a lot of people don't know how it's a lot of the accounting side. Each bank account has a fund account that applies to it. So if we're taking money into 4 or 5 different accounts for taxes, we have a tax code for that. So the revenue goes there. But if we get money in from the federal government, the state, or even just the schools making a manual deposit, or codes or whatever making a deposit, we have to account for that money also. So we post those into our accounting system to be reconciled and receipted in the county finance department. And then monthly, we reconcile the statements, make sure they've gotten everything posted and in the right place. So that's where I have to look into those things. I have great team members so, you know, really diligent working on that. So that's, part of that. So we actually are the bank for the county government. I know a lot of people don't know that. They think it's just taxes, but no, we have to do a lot more on that. Now, another thing on the revenue, the county trustee is also allowed a commission on certain other revenue that comes in. And we get $565,000 every year from the school's revenue, not just take it individually and take it from, it's been set since, I think, 1996. It's been set for the amount that we can actually get on the revenue for the schools. So we get that one check every year, usually in May, from the commission that the trustee can get. And again, we deposit it into the account, but if the fee and operating account is over the allotted amount of 3 months salary and benefits, we turn it over to the county as excess fees to be put back in the culvert. Now, some of those excess fees on those are not put back in the county government. They are allocated for the schools only. And those are the revenues that we receive from the city of Knoxville and city of Farragut. Those money that we get for sales tax for those areas goes to the school for their operation. So the county doesn't get that, but the schools are run by the county, so it's still all inclusive. So, and our department we pay the bills for the county. We do the wire transfers to pay the bills for the county. All the indebtedness that we have every month. We do possibly like 110 maybe wires every month to pay the debt of the county. So they're on the financial side, that part of it there. But then we have the TIF programs. And these are for the developers that was mentioned. Justin said we have some developers that attend the sales and get property. On the TIFs, they get tax increment financing. And what they purchase, the developers purchase this land and they develop it. And as they do, they can do the part that I don't like, they can do part of it at a time as it's developed. They can become a TIF. And on the TIFs, what they do, they pay their taxes, but they get a rebate at the end of tax season for the amount that they pay. Those TIF contracts are usually 10 to 25 years. You put them up based on what they're developing. And, we certain parcels we do that. That's through the county commission. They work for that for the TIF. So they have to go through them in order to be qualified to become a TIF. So like the developers would do that. If they say, we're gonna stay in Knox County and we're gonna develop the South Knoxville, they're doing waterfront now, but they're doing part of it at a time. And each time they add a part, and then they pay it all. If they're paid, we rebate back to them the amount of taxes paid less the amount that is due for debt service, because we have to maintain the part to pay our indebtedness on the bonds, whatever we have. So that's one thing for the developers. And another thing for people in businesses is a pilot, which is a payment in lieu of taxes. They don't actually pay the taxes on the tax roll. They go through Community Development Corporation, KCDC, or the Health and Education Board. They hold these properties, and the people pay them a payment in lieu of taxes, a percentage, which is actually through County Commission and the KCDC and Health Education Board allocating as to how much they pay. And they pay that directly to the trustee's office, which is then again, more revenue coming in to be receipted. It's not receipted as a tax, it's receipted as revenue. And so we count for those, and that's money that we get commission off of also. So it goes back into the operation of the county. So those are some things that the finance department actually handle. We do a lot, but that's the major things that we offer.
I have a question, and it's because I'm pretty not well learned on some of this, but if you have a tip, for instance, let's say hypothetically, is it generated from the anticipated revenue that you may receive from that? Like, let's say Amazon, they come in here and you think, well, they're gonna be multi-million-dollar people, and then suddenly it stalls. What happens then?
Okay, once they, on the TIFs, once they go off of it as being a TIF, they don't get the rebate anymore. So they actually have to pay the actual base taxes on the property. And this is the thing, we have another property right now that's being sold that is not gonna be bought by someone that's doing what it was actually allocated for. So it has to go back to your regular taxes, and you get no rebate on it, and it's taxed at the commercial rate that we do on properties. And one other thing that we do offer, we have the tax relief and tax freeze for the elderly, basically. We also have what we call a bankrupt payment plan, and that's for those who can't afford just to pay one lump sum of their taxes at one time. They can set it up as a bank draft and make a payment every month. And we have what we call 5-month draft, 8-month, and 12-month draft. So we can draft it out of your bank account and apply it, to your parcel. And that way, by tax season, we will put all of it on there, taxes are paid. So it doesn't put a hardship on people, like, want to maintain their homes, they want to keep them, but they want to make sure the taxes are paid. These are people who no longer have their escrows and mortgages, and this works for them. So Caleb in my division, one of the team members in the finance department handles that. So you would call the trustee's office and ask for, Caleb in bank draft, and he'll be glad to walk someone through and tell them and set them up, do the draft, get a copy of we have a form they have to fill out saying that they authorize us to draft from their account, and we get all the information and cancel check, and we can handle that for them. Even though we don't do, just say, hold somebody's money as escrow, this is people making payments toward their account, so we don't actually hold the escrow. Like, can I just pay my taxes for next year and y'all hold on to it? No. What we're doing, getting people's taxes and applying them to their taxes. So we don't want to be an escrow agent. We did that a long time ago, so we stopped that. That was a lot to do.
Thank you, Mr. Pearl. Tanner is, like I stated, he is doing what Robin did for 23 and for her previous years for the trustee's office. He's doing it for 24. He's overseeing it. He knows where we're at in titles. He knows when our scheduling for getting ready to come out and start the process for these are, and he knows everything that's on there. You got anything you want to add?
No, that's pretty much it. If anybody has any questions about any property specifically, you can give me a call or shoot me an email. I have some business cards. So.
Thank you, Tanner. Yeah. Next is Donovan Whiteside. He's my Director of Operations for the Knox County Trustee's Office. Donovan was at another speaking event right before he got here, so he was a few minutes late. But Donovan, do you want to go over kind of the office overview for him real quick?
Yeah, excuse me. So we have the main location downtown. It's open actually from 7:30 until 5 p.m. is the access you can actually have. Well, it's actually open until 4:30, excuse me. But we have put in a new program where you can actually pay your taxes anywhere between the 7:30 to 5 p.m. hour. You can call in and pay automated. We have also the 5 satellite offices here in Knoxville. We have here closest to you all at the Rural King, we have the Halls location. They are open from 8:30 to 4:30, or 8 to 4:30, excuse me. You also have the East Knoxville location. That actually has an extended hour or half an hour onto it, so they're open until 5. You also have the East, you have closest to that would be Cedar Bluff, which would also have an extended early hour. So an extended late hour at the East location, an extended early hour at the Cedar Bluff location, where instead of opening up at 8, we actually open up at 7:30 over there. We have the Farragut location and the South locations. We also have the opportunity to pay by bank draft, e-check, other ways. I'm thinking maybe there's most things that I would talk about have been covered. So just to be honest, I'm pretty much giving you the info about our offices and how you can find us. So if you have any other questions about customer service or anything like that, please let me know.
That was pretty much it. I feel like we did a really good overview. I want to thank my team for being here. You guys did amazing. Whenever I brought them in, I was like, listen, Halls probably don't want to hear me speak. They've heard us speak hundreds of times. So I thought, given this room, these are the people that, not only myself, but you'll also be talking to them. You'll be seeing them. These are the boots on the ground, hardworking team members that we got. And I'm very proud of them. I just think you guys did an amazing job. Thank you guys for coming tonight. I know that it was kind of last minute, but for what you guys gave to the Halls Club, I appreciate you guys, so I apologize. Okay, so